Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pass the Mic. Mike Passamonte here. Weekly Facebook/Twitter/StreamYard. Where else are we? YouTube. Also YouTube. Talking sports every week, 7 o'clock. This is probably popping up on your Facebook feed right now or your Twitter feed. I'm Mike Passamonte. I've got my two co-hosts coming up right now. We're going to talk NFL like we do every week. We talk for about an hour about NFL. We have our little 15-minute time for JP to rant called JP's World. But with that, I'll bring on JP from Hypothetical Sports. The thing we're going to talk about first is we have to talk about this game last night, baseball. I know we've concentrated on the NFL for the past, since the season started. Mostly because I was just sick of all the other sports. But we have to talk. This is a good World Series. Really good World Series. It delivered. It wasn't, I don't think that the NBA finals delivered. NHL maybe, but this felt like a World Series game. They had fans in the stands. They had cheering. And then you had just the worst call I've ever seen in a baseball game, considering the circumstances. Just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But let's talk about it with the guys. Going to bring on Carl Graham. Carl, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, how are you? I'm doing fine. I got to agree with you. There's some craziness last night with baseball, but it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. And at the end, some controversy going on. So it was an exciting night all around.
Well, it totally, you know why he did it, and that's why he should be fired. You know why he did it, but that's why you should be fired. Because, it's not like, when Mickey Callaway came out and, didn't know how to do a double switch or put the lineup card out of order. It's not like just not knowing. He had a train of thought, but it was ridiculous. But let's bring on JP. JP from Hypothetical Sports. JP, how you doing this week?
I think I'm doing better than that manager is right now in Tampa.
Kevin Cash. It's crazy. So for anyone who didn't see it last night, you got the Dodgers up 3-2 in the series, needing the game, able to close out the series if they win the game. Tampa needs the game to survive. They need the game to survive. They have their ace on the mound, Blake Snell, 2 years removed from a Cy Young Award, goes out there and is pitching an absolute gem. Up until that inning, which was the sixth inning, he had given up one hit. He had a 1-0 lead. He had the Dodgers. They had no idea how to hit him last night. No idea how to hit him. I could see if he was off a little or the score was close. I understand. But he was at 73 pitches. He gives up a single in the sixth inning with one out, and the manager comes and takes him out. Relying on analytics, this whole you don't want to face the lineup three times. It's so overblown in baseball now that these guys here's my question to Kevin Cash. What do we need you for? If we're just gonna go by cookie cutter, analytics, what do we need you for? The players could figure that out for themselves. You could just throw 9 players into the dugout and say, all right, 3 times through the lineup, the book says this, go out. And there's no feel for the game. There's no, instinct for the game. Takes out Snell and immediately, boom, down 2-1. Game over. Series over. Go home. And Blake Snell was so pissed. He was so pissed, cursing as he went to the dugout. He threw 73 pitches, I think. 73 pitches.
Yeah. And
they take him out. And that was it. And you know what? At that point, and I think everyone who's not a Rays fan is rooting for that to happen. They're saying, you know what? I hope they blow this game now. Taking this kid out who's, he had a tough year last year. This year he's okay. But he's still one of the better pitchers in baseball. Cy Young Award winner. And their ace. And he's just mowing them down. And so I'll let you, Carl, you go first, and then JP, I'll hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, it was a good World Series all around. An exciting World Series. We'll go with that.
Agreed.
The Tampa Bay played great all through the playoffs. The Dodgers were expected to get there, and everything was good. I don't know what he was thinking. Snell,
you know what he was thinking. He was never like This is done in the
At the
drive
same
to
time,
nuts.
this is a do or die game. This is a do or die game. It don't matter what happens now. You got to go out there and win. And you know what? They would have won. He was on fire.
Well, yeah, they probably would have won. They probably would have won.
At the same time, if you look at the statistics, the last couple games, all right, you're going to look at it that Tampa Bay was killing the relief pitchers on offense, was beating them up, and he was expected to beat them up again because he took out that rookie quick. 1-0 in the first inning or two, they put in relief, and they're expected to do that. And Tampa Bay's relief players, the pitchers, were really doing very good against the Dodgers.
Not the one they put in.
No, not the one they put in.
Not Anderson.
No.
Anderson had given up runs in 6 straight games.
But he threw in the worst relief pitcher out of every one. I don't know why he did that, thinking that maybe he could get 2 innings or 3 innings out of him. But the Tampa Bay needed to hit too. And their offense was killing the Dodgers relief all through the series, and it didn't work. So
yeah, but that's not the story. The story is
he should be fired.
Yeah.
He should be fired, and I'm sure that there's gonna some pitcher over there is gonna ask for a trade because this is not how they want to go down.
I don't know if either of those things are gonna happen. It's knee jerk. I don't even know. He's not gonna get fired. He got the team that far. He's not going to get fired. This is a team that really relies on analytics. This is Moneyball. Like JP had said it a few weeks ago. This is just like Oakland. No name players. You can't name like 3 players besides Blake Snell on the team.
Yeah.
And they get that far. So he's not going to get fired. Snell's not going to ask for a trade. He grew up in this organization. But it's just and sometimes you don't realize they may never get there again. Look at this happens all the time. Look at Texas, did it 2 years in a row, got right there, and then hasn't been back since. You get that chance, and you're cruising. Now, we don't know if they would have won the game. It was only the 6th inning. We don't know. Because at some point, the relievers were going to have to come in. We don't know if they were going to come in. They were going to win. We don't know that they were going to win Game 7. But we do know that this was just a dumb mistake. And just like I said, JP, they're taking all the feel away from the manager.
Exactly.
They're taking all the instinct out of the manager. What do you need him for?
I could literally play a game. I have one of the best baseball simulators out there, which I told you about this game. This game, it's basically like what the Rays did. I could have done myself. It's basically people like me on a computer,
right?
Could manage the team. Then, if you're telling me that they listen, like what Kevin,
I agree.
But here's the big thing I'm gonna mention because you're right. Think about how many great teams have never won. Pittsburgh in the 90s, the Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke Pirates. They got one chance. They lost because of Sid Bream.
Pittsburgh didn't never win. Pittsburgh's won.
But they didn't even get there. Think about all the great teams in history that people say this is a team that could have done something. I think of the 90s. I think of the early 90s Pirates. I think of honestly the Dodgers. They lost this. I would have said this is the big thing for the Dodgers this is a legacy win for them because I think if they lost to the Rays, you got to argue: is this the greatest team that ever? Is this the greatest team that ever win one? Is this the greatest collection? If they didn't,
I agree with that. If they lose for a 3rd time. Now, this would have been the 3rd time that they lose in the World Series, right? They lost
every year to the eventual world champion.
Yeah.
Well, they lost in the World. When you're in the World Series, that means you lost to the World Champions.
No, but they lost to the Nationals last year.
Yeah, they lost to Houston.
Every year they didn't win it. Yeah, they lost to the eventual world champion. That includes the Cup. That goes back to the Cubs.
I think I would put the Braves as they won one. The Braves won one.
The Braves won one.
But that type of situation, you're right. But
probably
regardless of all that, this game, this decision just drives you nuts. This is the Rays' chance to win it all. Because who knows in an entire season? They've been pretty good the past couple of years.
Who knows if they're able to keep all these guys? Who knows what's going to happen next year in 162 games? None of
these guys are going anywhere because I don't think any of them are even
but who knows
free agency yet.
Right.
But who knows if Tampa could be able to get them for all 162 injuries.
You never know. You never know. That's the point. And they don't have the money to replace players like the Dodgers do, like the Yankees do, where if a couple of these guys go down, they could just go get free agents. That's not how they're built.
And let's not put anything against the Dodgers. They played great, and they did too. They're awesome.
I think the Dodgers would have won anyway.
Yeah.
I really do. I think they would have won. They would have won this. They probably would have won this game anyway.
I really think it would have came down to this. How many innings would have Snell given you? And if he could have taken him, let's say 8 innings, and they can get it. I don't think they win this game 1-0. I think if they could get Snell to give him 8 innings, you get another run or 2 on the board, maybe a force a game 7 where all bets are off.
Well, hold on. They didn't get another run or 2 across the board.
Exactly. I was gonna say if they did, I agree with you. But the only way I think would have been different is I think if Snell was in the game, and maybe he takes 8 innings, you might have had Tampa would have had a shot. I think maybe a tiny shot. That would have been the only scenario. I thought.
No. Hold on. This team has been the best team from beginning to end.
But the Dodgers, the Dodgers were blanking them last night. That's what I'm saying.
Snow was blanking him last night. Absolutely, but that you're not going to give a slight chance that the Dodgers could win.
The reason why I'm saying this is that I think
we're going down a rabbit hole.
Dodgers would have won. I agree with you. Dodgers would have won. I think they won the situation.
Carl, you're absolutely right. You can't take anything away from the Dodgers right now. You can't.
I mean, you're going to say that if the pitcher could last Snell, he could go to 8 innings, but they couldn't get runs anyway.
Exactly.
They couldn't hit the Dodgers last night.
That I was saying, keeping Snell in the game was their only chance.
The whole game was if Snell would have stayed in there, maybe we would have seen a shutout, and maybe they would have.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Let him talk.
But they didn't hit, so it doesn't matter. What we're going against, and the whole ESPN and every fan out there is saying, look, he was on fire. The over/under on strikeouts for him was 6. He had that in the third inning. He was on fire. And the whole thing about this is that he could have pulled into 8 innings. Yeah, 7 or 8, and maybe not even give up a run. And that one might have been good enough. But they pulled him out early, and they didn't have a shot to get that far. That was the object. But you got to play on both sides of the ball. You got to hit the ball and score.
Exactly.
That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I say I don't know if Dodgers could have won this anyway. But if they would have pulled him out if he had 90-something pitches in the 6th inning, I understand. If this was like the 8th inning, I understand. There's been moves that you second guess. Terry Collins, when the Mets were in the World Series in 2015, lets Matt Harvey go out there and start the 9th inning for the last game, and he blows it. It was a mistake, but you understand why he did it. It was a feel move. This was just what drives you crazy about this. It had nothing to do with instinct. It made no sense. And even if you go by the analytics, it didn't make any sense because you're putting in a guy that had given up runs in 6 straight games. You're putting Mookie Betts at the plate, who's better against righties than lefties. A lot of it didn't make sense, and he's answering for it.
Right, and he's going to answer for it. And what really happened, and you go with this whole game, is that Tampa Bay killed the relief pitching all series, and they thought they could do it again, and the relief pitching shut them down, and they couldn't do it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. That closes the Major League Baseball season, and I think it was. Listen, I thought it would suck because the Mets just can't get out of their own way. Maybe now that they got an owner, they can. But
you started.
I think the
playoffs.
That's not good.
Are you certain the playoffs going to approve it?
Yeah, he's got to approve it. The playoffs were good. I thought the playoffs were good, and I thought the World Series was great, was quality. I love that they had the fans in the stands. NFL, let's move to the NFL. They just announced today that they're going to have about 20,000 fans for the Super Bowl this year, which is good. 20,000 fans can get loud. 20,000 fans is good. It's like a Miami Dolphin game. It's like, it's
anything in Florida, right?
Yeah. It's like how many Jet fans go to a home game and the rest are all every other team. But 20,000 fans is not terrible. This week was wild for the early games in the NFL. Wild games. Like, first of all, the Thursday night game was crazy. The Giants had the Eagles. They had them. And then they blow the lead with 5 minutes left. They lose by 1. But then the Falcons are just, how many times can you just be so – I don't understand how that happened. Did you see that play? And the same thing happened with the Penn State kid. Twice, 2 days in a row, you have a guy – the team has the game locked up. The other team has no timeouts. You're winning. If you get the ball inside the 5-yard line, you go down. You take a knee a couple times, and the game's over. Mm-hmm. Todd Gurley gets the ball at the 1-yard line, and his momentum takes him in, and he tries to go down, and he lands with the ball halfway in the end zone. And you see the Detroit players come up to him and put their hands up like it's a touchdown because that's what they wanted.
That's great.
No timeouts left. No timeouts left. And Matt Stafford marches him down the field. And he wasn't even throwing the ball out of bounds. He was keeping the ball in bounds. And they got down, and it was insane. Insane. Once again, Atlanta blows the game. They lose 23-22. It's insane. It's crazy.
All I got to ask is, how is the whole we're not going to trade Matt Ryan thing working out for you right now if you're Atlanta? Because good Lord, like I would be tanking for Trevor right now if I'm Atlanta. I might be worse. You might be able to beat the Jets to this. With the Jets' luck, who knows?
Matt Ryan's been playing really good. He really has. Good. This is the defense. This is not Matt Ryan. And I'm not trading Matt Ryan.
Owner already said Jones, Ryan, and Ridley's not going nowhere.
Nowhere.
They're not going nowhere.
But you wouldn't be thinking after this year that maybe
I would absolutely take a guy in the second or third round if he was there because Ryan is getting up in age, but he's still got it in him.
You know,
he still has it in him.
I'm going to put it this way. You know what this reminds me of a little bit?
Oh boy.
Reminds me a little bit did you ever see the documentary that they did about Elway, the Elway draft, where they had the discussion with the 49ers?
Yeah.
Where the 49ers actually were discussing trading Joe Montana. I'm going to say this. To me, this seems like Atlanta should be taking a play out of that playbook and saying, you know what? Let's explore this.
Yeah, hold on. First of all, that was before Joe Montana was Joe Montana. He had won one Super Bowl so far, yes. But And they weren't serious about that because they didn't do it. It wasn't serious. They did eventually pivot off of Montana and go to Steve Young, who was,
another
just as good. Yeah. Just as good as Montana. So that's different. You don't, if we're going to say trade Ryan, then who else? Like everybody's tradable then. Like you get, it's just a fantasy football or Madden mentality. It's not reality. It's not reality.
I'm looking at Dallas thinking, we might be able to pull one of Jerry Jones here. Maybe get an extra pick or two.
Well, why doesn't Washington trade for why? Here's my question. Why aren't you saying that Washington should trade for a quarterback or who else sucks? The Jets or any of these teams.
But the reason why
we keep going back. It drives me absolutely crazy. Dallas sucks.
I agree.
Dallas sucks.
Look at the
if you gave them anybody right now, they would suck.
Agreed.
They were sucking with Dak.
Why? Why would you? Why would
MVP of the league?
Because I'm going to redirect you now because what you're saying here and back to Atlanta here. If I'm Atlanta, I got to look at it this way, and this is why I mentioned Dallas because there's only one or two teams right now that are in an awful predicament, like Dallas, who could potentially, if you were going to, let's say, deal a piece, maybe you move, maybe you do call if you feel like, maybe we can get Trevor Lawrence here. Maybe you do call Dallas. I'm just saying because Dallas might be stupid enough.
I have no idea what you're saying. Do you know what he's saying?
Because of the NFC East, how bad the NFC East is this year.
Yeah.
Dallas may be thinking fool's gold. They might be thinking.
Speak English. What are you talking about?
They're saying, they might be
how are they getting Trevor Lawrence?
I was thinking, you're Atlanta. You're thinking to yourself, you know what?
Okay.
We're bad enough that maybe we could lose a couple. Maybe we could lose out potentially. Look at that division. They are going to get pounced, I think, the rest of the way by the division.
All right. Here's the thing with Atlanta. They're not getting pounced. They're not getting destroyed. They're right there.
Themselves.
What?
They're pouncing themselves.
The defense is blowing in the end almost every game. They're not getting destroyed.
Matt Ryan's not there to lose, and he don't care. The offense is on fire. They're scoring. It's the defense. And if anything, you're going to lose all these games. You're looking for defense now. They got their offense. You're looking to fix the defense and maybe a young quarterback for the future in the second or third round.
And I am not
number one pick overall. They're not worrying about that stuff.
I'm not ready to say. I don't think they're going to lose out. I don't think they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose that many games. They could have won all these games.
The only problem I see and I agree with you, Mike. Let's start from the beginning when we mentioned Atlanta. Is Gurley was stupid enough that you really want to win, like you said.
He wasn't stupid. It was just he did. No, but he did. It's just his momentum took him in. He knew what he had to do. He jumped on the ground, and the ball was landed on the goal line. It wasn't his fault. It was such an accident. He knew. It wasn't like he didn't know. He knew that he shouldn't.
It helped fantasy owners. That's about it. It helped fantasy owners, or would have pissed off fantasy owners. But but Atlanta's not as bad as they are with their record. Their offense is exploding, and it's just their defense can't hold no one. Their defense is just go out, don't even play. Their defense shouldn't even play.
Go. Exactly. And they only have. You look at their schedule. Yeah. The only teams they have that are not with winning records. The rest of the year, Denver and the formerly San Diego LA Chargers. That's it.
But here's what I'm saying. This team can beat anybody in this league.
They only got. I mean, I think when you look at their schedule, I think this week's going to be the biggest game. Tomorrow is going to be the biggest game of their season. Like, this is the deciding factor for the season. Playing Carolina on Thursday night, because if they beat Carolina,
hold on. JP, they're 1-6. Their season's over. But I'm saying they're not going to lose out.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
they'll beat Carolina.
I'm not saying they lose. I'm not saying
the biggest game of their season was when they blew the Dallas game. That was the biggest game.
But more what I'm saying here is what I mean by that is maybe I'm not saying they're going to make a run for the playoffs. Maybe, who knows? They might end up with 6 wins, 7 wins that they could maybe start turning around now, because they could get 2.
Look what happened last year. Look what happened last year at the halfway point. You had the Jets and you had the Broncos. Both had 2 wins.
Yeah.
And everyone was counting, who's going to get the number 1 pick out of those teams. And they both
missed the playoff by 1 game.
They both went 6-2 the rest of the way. The Jets were 6-2. Yeah, so they were
8-8 or whatever they were.
No, they ended up 7. So the Jets were 1-7, I think, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up going 6-2 for the rest of the way.
Right.
This team could definitely do that. Do that.
And Pittsburgh missed the playoff by 1.
I don't think they're gonna, but
and now they're adding a team to the playoffs. So
so
everybody's still alive. Small chance, but they are.
Listen, and I want to get to this game too. I want to get to the close games, but I want to get to this game too, because it drives me out of my mind. And you two are the biggest ones that do this. Every time you talk about Dallas or the Patriots, it's like, oh, they're going to get Montana. Like they're going to get everybody. The Patriots are going to get everybody. They got Cam Newton. How is that working out? What did I say about Cam Newton in the summer? Now, I've been wrong about a bunch of guys, but Cam Newton, both of you, Patriots get Cam. They're still going to win. Cam Newton sucks. He can't throw the ball. He's terrible. He has always been terrible. You put a good team around him, he can get hot. He runs, yes, but he's terrible. He got pulled. This week.
And also the 49ers. Also, the 49ers just out. I'm gonna kind of agree with you, but I'm gonna say I'm going to keep the jury out, but I'm agreeing with you as of last week. I think the biggest thing for New England is going to be this. It's going to be, is Belichick going to try to force Cam to be something that he's not? Because you know what they need to do with Cam? What? And this is very simple. What? Do the same thing you did with Brady. Run the damn ball like 40 times if you have to.
They've been run. That's all they've been doing.
That's all they've been doing. But the problem is, I mean by that is you need to run the damn ball 40 times, but also using more of an option base with Cam.
That's all they've been doing.
And the problem is, I've been watching what they're doing.
Cam can't throw the ball.
Yeah, and the problem is, I'm not done with what I'm saying. I'm not done what I'm saying, because I was about to say this. But the problem is with that little game plan I think they should run is, you're right. Cam can't do it anymore. Do you know what he looks like to me? He looks like Cam. For the first 2 weeks he looked like Superman. The last 2 weeks he looks like basically like Superman that just took kryptonite and can't even do anything. That's what he looks like. He looks like he's not, like the first 2 weeks everyone was like, wow, this is unbelievable. Nobody knows what to do with him. But once you had 2 weeks to film, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, he's not Superman. They're just doing X, Y, and Z. Just do this.
Here's what happened. After the first 2 weeks, teams started to understand he's not throwing the ball. He's just running. And That's all they're doing, JP. I don't know if you're watching their games. All they're doing is running. They're running the option. Well, the game plan is they're running the option. They're running the ball.
I was saying the game plan isn't working.
No, you said they should run the ball, and they are.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic, saying it's not working because it's not. Like I was being.
I understand. I understand. But what I'm saying is, and don't say it's just because of this week, because last week he looked like crap against Denver.
Right.
You know, he
the week
I was giving him the COVID excuse for that. He got a 1 week COVID pass for me. Last week,
nothing.
He's
terrible.
But to me, I gave him a 1 week COVID pass. This week, I didn't give him a pass because that was flat out awful. But I gotta beg this question here. I'm gonna beg a question.
Go ahead.
One more bad week. Do you start Stidham?
I can't believe Cam Newton's still playing. I really can't believe he's still playing. I don't understand. This is not like Belichick. He usually, just gives up on players pretty quick if they play terrible. And I don't understand why they're still playing him. Maybe, the Bills are not a great team. I said that in the beginning, and then they started playing really well. They're a good team. The quarterback's not good. He's not.
We'll know Miami on Sunday. We'll know what Miami is on Sunday, I think. I think we'll know for certain what Miami's going to be the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't give them a big chance this week. That's a tough spot for him, especially with that defense. But, maybe Belichick is still thinking that he could win the division. I don't know.
He's like Jerry Jones. Him and Jerry Jones must be at the same barbershop every week, getting their haircuts, talking football. Because I don't know what
Belichick, and we had different thoughts in the beginning, but Belichick is out there. If he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. I think he's just out there, and he's going to try. He don't give up, and you can't tell if he's giving up or not, or what he's talking about, because he's always acting serious no matter what he talks about. But I think whatever happens this year happens. There's an excuse this year with everything that's going on with most of his defense saying goodbye. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
With Brady just turned around and said that who are they going to grab? They grabbed Cam Newton. They got many draft picks coming up. This could be just a trial period
and
for players.
A lot of money under the cap too.
Yep, and this could just be a trial period for these players. Some of these players. Belichick's going to say, back of his head, saying next year's the year. Whoever I think was the proper guy out there and playing, we'll keep him. If not,
but here's my question, Carl. If this is a trial run, why aren't you starting Stidham this week?
Why should you? Cam is the better quarterback. If Cam wasn't the better quarterback, they wouldn't have bothered with him.
Because here's the only reason why I'm saying this. If you're going to go with this argument of last week was a total disaster, the week before was a total disaster, shouldn't be two strikes. Like, should Belichick not even be giving him a third strike, knowing that he could win the division possibly if he's thinking what Jerry Jones is thinking?
I agree with that, but I don't think he agrees with that. And in all fairness, and I always say this because it drives me nuts when everyone says just put in the backup. We don't know how good the backup is. We don't know if he's good.
Give him a shot.
He does.
At this point, with all the young guys, give him a shot.
I hate that expression. I'm not picking on you. I hate that expression. He gets a shot every day in front of those coaches.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He gets a shot.
That's
so they see what's going on. That happens all the time. And Carl's nodding his head right now, but he does this way more than you do it. He's always like, put in the backup, give the kid a shot. Who did you want to put in the other day? The kid. Oh, what team was it? You're like, why aren't they putting in the kid they drafted? Oh,
Philly?
No, it wasn't Philly. Who was it, Carl?
I forget.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, you got to understand, these coaches see the players every day. I'm not going to question Bill Belichick. I don't know why they went for Cam Newton. They're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. I think Carl's right that this is kind of a throwaway season anyway for them. I'm not writing them off, though, for the playoffs.
They can still win that division. Buffalo sucks.
Yes.
Can I throw this out there?
They still have the Jets twice. They still have Miami. They have a lot of winnable games.
Can I just throw this out there to you and see if this sticks? If you're New England and you look at it this way, I think I'm going to look at it this way. Do you think Belichick's thinking to himself, we're going to probably lose to San Francisco? He probably was expecting to lose to Denver at the beginning of the year. Is he right now saying to himself, I have the Jets? You're right. He has the Jets. And who knows what Miami's going to look like. But here's what I'm going to ask. If, let's say, for example, they lay an egg at some point. Maybe they lose 2 more games terribly. Let's say they have another Denver situation where they just look awful and they lose a terribly played game. Do you decide, you know what, we're just going to pack it in for the year, it's a wasted year, and just let sit and play?
Not Belichick.
I don't think so.
Not gonna give up.
I think Belichick wants to win every single game he plays. But yeah, I don't understand why Stidham's not playing. I don't. But
Because you know who the next 3 games are, right?
who?
Buffalo,
Right?
at Buffalo. Then they got the Jets on Monday night. And then they got Sunday Night Football. The Ravens come to town.
All right, so that's
2-1.
That could be
2-1.
2-1. That could be
That's
2-1.
That's 2-1 at best. Yeah, that's 2-1 at best. You know they're going to lose they're going to beat the Jets. You know, they're going to lose to Baltimore, but
I think they could beat Buffalo this week.
I think they
But
can too.
but it's interesting. You look at their schedule with Thanksgiving, and those next 2 games. I think that's going to be the most telling for them because you got the Texans coming to town on the 22nd, and then Arizona coming to town on Thanksgiving weekend. Which
They got 4 wins right there, and
Like, not everybody-
take over the division.
All right, so
it is reasonable.
let's go through a couple more of these games that were really close and really good. The Browns game. I think they said this has never happened before. 5 lead changes by touchdowns in the 4th quarter. 5
It sounded
lead
like a high
changes.
school game.
It was. It
It
was just up and down. And, the Browns, they lose Beckham, and they still, Baker Mayfield started, I think, 0 for 5, and then he was just lights out after that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think he was just lights out after that. Burrow is, struggling, but he's going to be good. He's not struggling. The team's struggling. 1-5-1. They're going to be good. This was a great game. I think people are down on the Browns. They're still 5-2. I know, Carl, you're down on the Browns. They're still 5-2. You pump up other teams that don't have a shot at the playoffs or haven't played well at all. The Browns, they've lost to the 2 best teams in the AFC, or 2 of the best teams in the AFC.
True.
The Steelers and the Ravens.
Right, that play this weekend. What I got to say about that one is Odell Beckham first. Odell Beckham, he's done for the season.
Right.
To me, it seems like Mayfield may be a little bit better without Odell around. There's no more pressure on him. After Odell left, he threw to everyone. He played football. He wasn't worried about throwing bombs to Odell or trying to get it to Odell that he promised Odell. This may be a gift. This may be a gift for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, we hope all is well with him, with Odell, but you know what? This may be a gift. And we may see something coming out of this young quarterback now that he don't be pressured to throw it to get me the ball, get me the ball, get me the ball, get me the ball. I'm the man here. It's no more. Spread it around like he did, and he went perfect. He didn't nothing. He just threw it down where he had to get open guy, and he did it. Cleveland may be all right without Odell. I think they will be.
I've been saying it for years. Odell is a cancer. And here's the thing: when he was with the Giants, he was at least producing. He's not one of the best. He's got talent, but there's a lot of wide receivers in this league that have talent. He's just more of a sideshow than anything. Like Antonio Brown became all these. Terrell Owens, but he hasn't even been as good as any of those guys, though. Randy Moss hasn't been as good as any of those guys. Not going to the Hall of Fame. Those guys are. He's not going to the Hall of Fame. I think he'll be good. I think I could see him like getting a ring with the team, just jumping on at the end, getting a ring with the team maybe, but he's not one of the best. I agree. That's addition by subtraction. Take him out. This kid Higgins is good.
The whole team.
And Landry's good. Yeah.
Can I say this?
And Jimmy, I know you're watching right now. That's the show logo. That's not just Carl's logo.
Can I say this?
That I like Carl's logo because it's on your head. Yeah.
I'm going to be bold enough to say this. I think if we're right, because I'm agreeing with you on this, I think this is addition by subtraction. If you're Cleveland, maybe I'm shopping around Odell at the end of the offseason. Maybe you do decide, you know what?
Yeah.
He's too much money. He's way too much money. Think about what you're putting money to.
All right. Hold on. You're not the Browns right now. I'm the Browns. You're every other team.
You can't.
Hold on. You're every other team. You got a guy that looks like a cancer, just came off a major knee injury.
What team are we talking about here?
That's what I'm asking you. I want to trade him to you. You're going to take him?
Give me a team, because I'll put it this way.
Hold on. You brought it up.
If you told me the asking price, what's the asking price of your Cleveland? I want
his salary. His salary is the asking price.
If I'm only giving up a 6th-round pick for Odell Beckham Jr.?
No, give me a football.
A 7th-round pick?
Give me 2 footballs.
You know why? Mike,
he's making millions.
I agree, Mike.
If you told me a 7th-round pick for
it's $20 million guaranteed next year, and he's not playing next year. He'll be back maybe November next year. He's done for the year.
We just said how bad he's been. He hasn't produced anywhere. Why would anybody pay him?
But I'm saying for a 7th-round pick, if you told me I could have, this is the only reason why I'm going to say this. I think it would be a situation where, if let's say you could get him for a 7th-round pick, the high risk, high reward situation of you were a team, let's say
give me one.
I'm going to say Jacksonville. 7th-round pick.
$20 million for $20 million.
Don't get hung up on the 7th-round pick. Hold on. It's the $20 million.
I know, but if you're Jacksonville, you're going to be rebuilding.
Other players because you're giving him $20 million. Forget about the 7th-round pick. That's why it is the 7th-round pick, because the real deterrent here is the money.
Agreed.
Right.
But if I'm
back 29, by the time he gets back on the field, he'll probably be almost 31, because he's not playing next year.
ACL, he'll be back in 8 months. He'll be ready in 8 months.
He could be. He could be.
Most likely he won't.
Actually, no. ACL 6 months. ACL 6 months.
Will be over.
ACL is 6 months.
I know guys who've come back on 6 months. It's very possible if you do intensive rehab. It matters by how you rehab. It all matters by how you rehab. You could be back anywhere from 6 to 8 months.
They're saying maybe November of next year.
What did Adrian Peterson was like lightning? What was that, like 10 months?
Yeah, it was.
But
now the surgeries are better now. It's getting better. The rehabs are better. The training's better now. They have stuff like, I know guys who've come back under a year.
All right, listen.
Name one in the hold on. Name one in the NFL. That was 6 months. Don't look it up.
I'm actually going to look up what they're saying. How long?
Forget it. Forget about all that. Forget about all that. Forget it. Even if he could play game 1 of next year, he's not worth the money. You're not going to trade him coming off. You don't know what he's going to be like coming off that injury.
That's how it is.
And then we're going to move on.
Right. No, the contract's $20 million next year, 19.5, whatever it is. Cleveland has to pay him off the injury. He's not going to play. After that, Cleveland could cut him. Who knows if he's going to be 100%? On a wide receiver, that's a hard injury to come back at. Who knows if it's going to happen or not, whatever. Odell Beckham, Mike, you said it, is going to be one of those guys that are going to jump on a team for some kind of little salary to win a ring, like New England Patriots. That's a Belichick move. A cheap wide receiver that is good, that may go for a year or two on a team. Bill, he's done.
That's what I'm saying. I could see him jumping on the team after his contract's done, jumping on the team cheap and getting a ring here or getting on a good team. You know, look at Antonio Brown right now. He's jumping onto Tampa Bay. You could get a ring with Tampa Bay. I could see stuff like that happening, but no way. The other game that I want to talk about, and this is going to get into the next topic, I picked the Titans to beat the Steelers, and they were getting trounced all game and then just came back. I don't think the Steelers are as good as they looked this week. Titans need to shore up that defense, because that defense has given up 2 weeks in a row, given up a lot of points fast. But okay, I say it every year. I said it at the beginning of this season. Halloween, which is this weekend, is when you could start to see who's really good and who's not good. And that's what we've been talking about the whole day, this whole time. Give me your 2 teams. We did it at the beginning of the season. Give me your 2 teams right now. And I'll go first because I didn't tell you I was going to ask this. 2 teams right now that you think are going to the Super Bowl. Right now, the way everyone's been playing, the way these teams have been playing, and I don't care about this past week, Tampa Bay and Tennessee. Tampa Bay and Tennessee. That's the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay just keeps adding. They had something we didn't even talk about last week. They got McClendon, didn't they? McClendon from the Jets.
Yeah.
Put him inside.
Yeah.
That guy is a run stopper. Their defense is just insane. And they got that offense with Brady. Ronald Jones is running well. Fournette's back. He's going to be healthy. They have everything. They have everything they need. That team. There are a lot more teams in the NFC that could disrupt than the AFC. I don't think there's that many good teams. It's like 3 or 4. The NFC, there's a lot, but I think the Buccaneers are set up to get there. And the Titans, I'm telling you, the Titans, from what I've seen, the defense has to play better, but I think they're the best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl.
You go next, G. You want me to go next? All right.
No, whoever you want.
You got to beat a man. You got to beat the man, and it's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, really. And those two teams are the strongest ones all around. And I can see Tom Brady going. And unfortunately, I can see the Tampa Bay going, and I can see Tom Brady. But I'm going to go with my picks that I had. And I still think Arizona proved that they could come back and play ball on offense with Murray on offense. And the defense still has to shape up a little bit. But I think the defense, I'm going to go with Arizona and Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, Ben is back. Ben
said Arizona.
Ben could play, and he shows he could play. The defense has to do their work. The offense does their work. I think it's Pittsburgh and Arizona.
Right. And JP, before you go, someone just made a comment. I have to announce this. James McDonald just said that he's voting for Donald Trump next week. So anyone who that's breaking news. Oh my God. All right, go ahead, JP.
After we had a little political break there, it gave me a little time to think. And I'm thinking.
Kidding. I'm kidding. He did not say that. He did not and would never say that. But go ahead.
I know. I'm just making a little joke here.
Go ahead, JP. Well, who's your 2?
I'm really. I could give you 6 teams. Not
right.
2.
I'm asking for 2, and we don't have a lot of time.
That's what I'm deciding on. I'm deciding on right now between 6 right now. I'm going to be oddball here. Something's telling me that it's going to be 2. It's not going to be any undefeated teams. I think we have a chance of seeing possibly possibly not the Chargers. I was going to say the Rams.
There's only one undefeated team, right?
Yep.
None of those teams have been undefeated the last 2 weeks.
The Ravens, are they undefeated?
No,
they lost.
Seattle was undefeated
only the Steelers. Right?
Yeah, Seattle was also undefeated last week. They were saying none of the undefeated teams last week.
Right, Seattle.
My gut's just telling me it's going to be the Rams.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
My gut's telling me I think the NFC West is going to surprise people because I think the Rams might come out of that division. I think they come out of that division. I think they're going to win. I think that's going to be.
And who are they going to play? Who are they playing? JP, come on. You're killing me.
This is a tough one because I really like Kansas City, but I don't. I like both Kansas City and Baltimore. I just, for some reason, I don't. I have to go with Kansas City because I think it's going to end up being Kansas City in it. But I'm not confident because for some reason I think there are legitimately 6 teams in the AFC who, if you told me today, would get there.
All right, picks time. I hope picks go quicker than that just did.
No, because it's tough. You have to agree. It's not easy. The AFC is like the AFC is too much
you're not betting your life here. Just throw a team out there. Jesus. All right. So last week. Right. No, you can't say half the stuff you say and say you want to be right. And I want to be right. I'm never right. All right. But JP, amazingly, last week again, you were the best in the picks. Again.
Who did I pick again? The last 2? I know I picked the Giants.
Carl was 2-1. No, was 1-2. I'm sorry. I was 1-2, and JP was 2-1.
Thank you, Detroit. That's all I can say. Thank you,
Detroit, the Giants, and you lost with Jacksonville. So you are going to go first this week.
Oh man,
give me a team.
You know what? I'm gonna go. I already got one. I'm going with. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Okay, Miami is plus 3.5.
This is the guy that just said the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
But can I tell you why? Can I tell you why I'm picking the Dolphins this week? Because I think that division. I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle ends up. I wouldn't be shocked if 10 wins gets that division. I think the Rams have 10 wins. I think they're going to lose this week. I think they're taking a trip to Miami. They're going to lose. I think for them, I think the Rams we're gonna know for certain with the Rams after Thanksgiving. I think they're a team that after Thanksgiving will be, I think, the last one standing other than Seattle in that division. I think San Francisco is about to drop off a cliff.
Okay, listen.
Still like my pick.
If they lose this week, they could, they go 5-3 the second half. They still win 10 games. That's possible, but it is funny. It is funny.
I counted this in my equation here.
All right, Carl, you go next.
We're gonna go with tomorrow's game.
Okay.
Thursday game, like I always start off, and I think Atlanta's gonna beat them up pretty bad.
By the way, Miami was plus 3.5. Atlanta, you're taking is plus 2.5.
Yeah, and I think with C-Mac or whoever they got running, whatever they want to do over there, I think Atlanta's going to put enough points up there and it's going to beat them up.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be healthy. I don't think he's going to play this week. But okay, my turn. Got a couple teams. Which one do I want to start with? All right, JP, I'm going against you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going against you. Hey, you've been better at the picks, I don't know, but this is a tough spot to throw Tua into. And who knows? They say he's been playing great. We've seen it with Herbert. We saw it, with a lot of these rookies. Mahomes, they get thrown in, and they really are as good as everyone said they were going to be. But this is a tough defensive line that they're going against. Going against the Rams. It's a 3.5-point spread. Rams minus 3.5. I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah.
JP, you're up.
Can I ask you two lines? I want to know a line here before I make this pick.
Go ahead.
The Dallas line. What is that line right now? Because I can't find it.
We're going to call it a pick. Call it a pick. There's no line. We're going to call it because they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. We're going to call it a pick.
Then I'm going to drop off that one. Then I'm going to actually go with the Lions over the Colts.
Okay. I may pick every game against you. All right. So you got the Lions plus 2.5 versus Indy.
I just, for some reason, like the Lions right now. I think they're good. I think they're going to take this one. Just I like the matchup.
You're up.
I think the Lions appreciate my pick. I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Packers. I really think after the Packers did what they did last week and the week before that they lost, I think the Vikings coming off is ready to get a win.
Vikings plus 7. Vikings plus 7. Carl, I can't believe you didn't take this. It was out there for you. It was right there. This is a pick game. I don't know how it's a pick game. The Eagles versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys are terrible. The Eagles have not looked good. And you keep telling me how good they played against teams. This is a team that tied Cincinnati. They have not looked good, but they are. You're right. They're getting some healthy guys back, but that's not why I'm picking them. Dallas is awful right now. Elliott's fumbling. They can't keep the quarterback. They're just not a team. And you saw the coach this week, and he was so right, going crazy on the team. Andy Dalton got hit with one of the dirtiest plays. Got knocked out, basically, on a dirty hit, and nobody went after this guy.
Nothing.
Nobody went after this guy. The team is dead. It says a lot about the coach. He's complaining about the team. It says a lot about the coach. The team's dead. Dallas is not going to win this game. I got Philly on a pick.
I got one question for you. Will McCarthy even be there next year? The way things are going, because this looks like a ticket on the Titanic.
We do know that Jerry Jones doesn't fire coaches.
Right, he doesn't fire him.
He doesn't fire coaches. He wants to be the coach. He doesn't really, he's not. I don't think so. I will say that I was really against McCarthy coming to the Jets. I wanted Gase. They're both awful. They're both terrible. Both of them. And McCarthy benefited from having Aaron Rodgers, but he's not a good coach. And the team's turning against them, turning against the coaches. But JP, give me your last one.
This is an interesting one because
wait, hold on. James McDonald just wrote Trump 2020. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know what's going on here.
All right, I know who I'm going with here.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be oddball here.
None.
I'm going to go with the underdog Steelers.
Okay. Steelers
are
are
underdog, correct?
plus 3.5 against Baltimore. That's a good pick.
That's a no-brainer. For me, that's an oddball pick because I don't like that game. To me, it's one of those games I don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, but I decided I'm going to touch it.
Okay. They're the only undefeated team in the NFL, getting 3.5. I don't know how oddball it is, but
no,
yeah,
to me,
I like that pick.
That game to me just seems like oddball to the fact it's even there.
Carl, you're up.
I think they come back after a couple losses in a row, and I think New England will beat Buffalo when it really counts.
New England at home, minus 3.5.
Sorry, if Buffalo couldn't score a touchdown against the Jets, I think New England got a shot.
Best kicker of the league. I mean, he beat the Jets single-handedly.
Yeah, and let me tell you something about that game. How funny it was, because here's how bad the Jets are. In the first half, everybody's texting me, "Oh my God, they're going to win this game," and they were 7-0. I think 10-0.
The whole game.
All of you were saying how good they look. They didn't look good.
But I was hedging the TV because they look good enough to win.
Gambling, it sucks. People gamble and people put money on a game. That sucks because they're such an underdog.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I wonder who's the bigger underdog this week, the Jets or Syracuse last week against Clemson.
Jets is 19.5. So
wow, Syracuse was even bigger.
I think Syracuse would beat the Jets.
I was thinking them or Nebraska.
Here's my pick. Yeah, I'm going to go with this team. I'm going to take an underdog. This team has played pretty well this year, especially when you didn't expect them to play well, and that's your team. I know they sucked this week. You know, they went against the Tampa Bay, one of the best teams in the league, but the Raiders have played pretty good this year. They are getting points in Cleveland. They're getting 2.5. I'm taking the Raiders.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus 2.5. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm never right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. You know what time it is.
We got a surprise for this one.
Uh-oh. I don't even want to know what that means. Hold on.
We originally were trick-or-treating this week, but we're not.
Where'd Carl go? Carl ran out on you. Hold on. Let me bring him back.
Don't ask me what happened.
I thought you ran away from JP.
I thought you ran away from. I thought you were getting too excited.
Here comes the special edition every week. The last 15 minutes of the show. Welcome to JP's World.
All right. This is going to be an interesting. Originally, I was planning on doing trick-or-treating with the NFL edition. But I've had a little bit of a change because of the World Series. And I was actually talking to someone about this. With the Dodgers, when I mentioned earlier about the legacy of the Dodgers being potentially, if they did lose this World Series, that they did win, but if they did lose it, would have been possibly going down as one of the greatest teams to never win a World Series. So my question is this. Who is the greatest team? We could talk about run, like overall talent, X amount of years to never win one.
I mean, what do you call?
What do you mean never?
Yeah, what do you mean never? Like, what's the time
not winning? I'm talking like, let's say you in a 5-year window, a team that had a really good lineup team that was together for about 5 years, competitive, made the playoffs multiple times, that never won. That never was able to win the big one.
Atlanta Braves.
The Braves won the big one.
They won in '94, but then they didn't win again. Yeah, they didn't win again.
Yeah, but I'm talking like the Braves are. I'm excluding
that's what I'm asking you. How do we define this?
For example, it's the same group of players. Let's say I'm going to use the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
Like the Cleveland Indians of the mid-'90s.
That's a good one.
Like that's the team I'm going to bring up because when you look at the Dodgers and how they could compare, how they would have compared, how teams would have compared in the past. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a debate about the Cleveland Indians about are they the greatest team that ever won one?
No. Hold on. You have the Ted Williams Red Sox. You have, the early Dodgers teams in Brooklyn that didn't win until they went to no. Those teams were better. The Ted Williams Red Sox, even the Yastrzemski Red Sox, those teams were better, and they didn't win. So I wouldn't put the Indians there. Although they were good. Tomei, they had Tomei, they had Manny, they were good team. Baerga,
They were good.
Yeah, they were very
Albert
good team.
Bell.
Yeah, Albert Bell came in.
You're talking
They
about
were
the
good.
Elroy era.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm gonna throw around then. I'm gonna change the date here a little bit to when you look at, if you were to say, let's say we go from 80 on, or expansion era. Let's do expansion era on here with baseball expanding.
So 60s.
We'll go 62 on here when the Mets came in. So my question is this: which dynasty? And there's two parts to this. Now this is actually going to be the dynasty part because the Dodgers are considered the dynasty. Which dynasty would you say team that could have never been a dynasty? Let's say the Mets.
The Dodgers aren't a dynasty after one win.
Yeah, but I'm considering them kind of like a dynasty playoff was, where they were a perennial playoff team, a playoff dynasty, not a constant playoff competitor that only won one. And if you have to say, if this Dodgers team doesn't win another one, where do they stand with the 86 Mets? Where do they stand with the Braves? And where do they stand with? I mean, I'm going to throw one team in here, even though they did win two of them, that I think maybe no, not two of them. The A's, the 89 A's didn't win two. That team didn't win two. They lost to the Reds. They went to two in a row. If you play against the Oakland A's of 89-90, the Braves of the 90s, and the Mets, the 86 Mets, where would you say this Dodger run stacks up with all of them? If they just won one.
Try to understand the question.
My question is, if this Dodger team only wins one,
But here's the thing. So you're using the word dynasty, but you're not using a dynasty.
Like,
so you're saying what team that won only won? Okay, here's how I'll say it. Here's how I'll say it. What team that won did we expect them to win a lot more than they did?
Yeah, that was the word I'm putting. Where will this Dodger team stack up?
Atlanta Braves has to be there. They went to the World Series over and over. They won the division every year.
But where does this
Dodger be Atlanta?
Yep.
My question
is Atlanta.
Where does this Dodger team stack up? And let's say those five I mentioned. There's 4 or 5 I mentioned.
Okay. It's hard. Here's the hard part about this. First of all, we don't know what the Dodgers are going to do from here on out.
I was going to say, this is it.
This
is the only win.
So they don't win the division any more
Let's
times?
Say they maybe win the division 2 more years. Let's say 2 or 3 more. Then they have
the last 6.
All right. Here's they've won it for the last 6. You're right. So here's what I'll say. It's hard to do this because you're comparing teams that failed. So how do you say who would have won? Because they've won.
I mean, by where do they stack? I'm not talking about where they won. I'm talking about how would they stack up history-wise with the fact that now the Dodgers have won one compared to, let's say, if you had to compare it to the Braves resume or the A's resume.
Failures.
I say that they're
the 86 Mets resume.
The 86 Mets doesn't count because their window was only 3 years.
But the Mets, why I'm mentioning the 86 Mets is that team was still kind of in the early 90s, still kind of knocking at the door.
No,
they weren't knocking the door 90.
No, they were terrible after
88. 88. Oh, I'm thinking. Am I thinking 88?
They lost to the Dodgers. That eventually won. That was the last time the Dodgers won before they. I would compare this team to Atlanta. If you just go and give me that time frame, Atlanta. Over and over and over, you win the division every year. You look like the best team in the playoffs, and you don't make it. You win one, which takes a huge monkey off your back. The Mets I wouldn't put in that category because they only made the playoffs twice.
You know who I would put in there with them?
Who?
St. Louis Cardinals.
In the 80s. Yeah.
80s.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Also with Albert Pujols, too. They made it twice, and they couldn't win. And they also made it to the end. They couldn't win. And they got rid of Pujols, and they won again. And they finally won without him.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great one. That's a great one. The Cardinals.
That's just a frame that it depends. It's talent, but it's
Cubs in the 90s.
Yeah,
because
the Cubs couldn't win.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm bringing this up, because it's a big debate I think we're going to have with this. I think you got to look at this Dodgers legacy of the fact that, arguably, as someone who I'm going to say comes from someone who's 20. Here, I'm giving from my generation view. I'm going to put it this way. I view this Dodger team, if I had to give them the eulogy on this team, if this was it, if this was the last title they win, and let's say they don't have any more success, they fizzle out, let's say in 3-4 years due to contract, with the whole cap issue and everything, let's say they fizzle out.
There's no cap.
And I'm saying money issues. Let's say they have to make decisions on who to get rid of.
But go ahead.
My thing with this Dodger team is going to be, I think this is a team that you're going to look at and say, they're going to be the textbook answer to the question of why do you spend big? Why do you spend big when you need to make that one move to get, let's say, Mookie Betts in there?
Right.
They're the textbook. In my opinion, it's a textbook answer to the question of why you make a big move, potentially getting rid of stars, shipping a star out of town to get Mookie.
Did they win?
They won.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. That's
what he's saying. You're agreeing with him. Yeah. Here's what I think this Dodger this year. It's just a cap on this. On this collection of players. If they never win again, they capped it. And this says something about one player that you haven't mentioned, and he played great in this World Series, and that's Clayton Kershaw. He was kind of blamed for most of the failures that they had the past couple of years. Meanwhile, it wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. He just wasn't what he usually is. And he was great this World Series, and he took the monkey off his back finally. As far as, I can't predict what's as far as what I was going to say with buying the championship. This definitely wasn't that. They've been there the past couple of years. This wasn't that. The perfect example. No, they didn't spend it. They got one guy. They weren't spending it.
That was a huge risk.
They were. If you ask me if they spent big this year, no. They got one guy. They got one guy. Now, there is an example of where you just spend really big and you win. What year?
09 Yankees.
09 Yankees.
Yep.
Brought in, they already had A-Rod, but they struggled the year before. They go out and they get Teixeira, they get Sabathia and Burnett. And they brought him in and they bought that World Series, and they haven't won one since.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying when you look at this Dodger team. I think they're the textbook example of if you're a team that thinks you're right there, you put all the chips in to get that one player who can get you there. Because Betts, I think, put him over the top. I think Mookie Betts was the guy they needed to move them. Because they were, in my opinion, you keep that Dodger team as a whole from last year.
If you think that they kept the Dodger team, they don't come back and win?
I don't think they win. I don't think they get out of the NL. Seriously, I don't think the Dodgers from last year. I think Betts,
crazy. His
experience I think with the Red Sox, I think him being that kind of like the leader in a way, the guy comes in there and said, "I got the ring."
Well, he's great. He's great, but I can't say that they wouldn't have won without that.
I think they would.
I agree with Mike.
I think Betts might have been the decider for them, because who knows if they get past Atlanta? They were down 3-1 to Atlanta. Think about it. They had to come back from 3-1 to Atlanta and play terrific the rest of the way.
All right. Tampa was down 3-1. They were up 3-0 and they almost lost.
Yeah. You know what it is this year? Last year and the year before, we've seen Washington do it. I mean, we see these teams. It's more about the bats. Ever since they juiced up the ball, that's what it's looking like. It's more about the bats more than anything now. If you're going to pitch a good game, you're a hell of a pitcher that game, like we seen last night. But it's all about the bats now. And they juiced up the ball, and that's why Mookie was such a big player. Seager was a big player. They got the bats there, and all you got to do is tap the ball, as we see.
Guys, this is a team. This is a team. You're making two arguments. You're saying that this is, one of the best teams not to win, and then you say they wouldn't have won this year without him. They've been the best team.
Yeah, I think they've
been NL for the past how many years? The big difference was Clayton Kershaw pitched lights out in the playoffs. That's a bit. And Cash threw away last night's game.
Yeah. But I think Betts helped them a lot. I think making that Betts move helped them big time. I think. But the big thing here I'm going to say, because I want to move to one last thing for 3 minutes, because we have 3 minutes. The last word I'm going to say on this is I'm really happy for the Dodgers that they won it, because I kind of root for the Dodgers in a way when they're not playing the Yankees. I have a soft spot for the Dodgers. My dad and I, we both love Dodgers a little bit when they're not playing the Yankees. I always try to go see them when they play at Citi Field. I always try to get tickets for the Mets Dodgers every year. But now for the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds, I got to mention this about what Trevor Lawrence said the other day. Yesterday.
Okay.
Leaving the ball and returning.
Bring it on. Right.
Here's what I'm going to ask you. And I'm not asking for a Jets fan opinion. I'm going to give the Raiders fan opinion. I'm going to ask you, is this a fair opinion? If you're Trevor Lawrence and you look at this year thinking to yourself, what? I don't want to play for the Jets, but I want to play in the NFL. And I'm looking at this like, am I better off going to stay at Clemson? Because I think he's seriously having this thought. Am I better off playing with the Clemson offensive line next year or the Jets offensive line next year? I got to ask you this. In my opinion, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I would stay at Clemson, being brutally honest.
Yeah. Worked out for Tua.
I know. It didn't work out for Tua, but here's what I'm going to say to you. It worked out for Peyton Manning. He didn't go to the Jets. He went to Indy and he wound up winning a Super Bowl.
He would have won if he went to the Jets. He would have won.
He would have won no matter where he went. That guy.
I don't know. I'll be honest, but here's what I'm going to ask you the last 90 seconds here. A non-Jet fan opinion. I want to see if this is fair. That if you're
how are you going to ask me non-Jet opinion?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you. Is this fair?
First,
this is
here.
Yes. Do you think it's fair that Trevor Lawrence should be looking at the Jets right now and saying to himself, what is this really worth coming out? Even though the money might be there, he knows he's going to have the money no matter what. It's the difference if you wait a year. Is it fair to say that?
That's not true. That's not true. Difference between the number 1 pick and the number 5 pick if he blows out his knee or blows out his hip like Tua did. That's a huge gamble. Huge gamble. Sam Bradford did it. He came back and he blew out his leg. That's a huge gamble. Here's what Trevor Lawrence told us in this quote. Fire Adam Gase. That's what he tells us. That's what he's saying. Fire Adam Gase. Because if Adam Gase is still there, he ain't coming. And it doesn't hurt him. It helps him by saying, here's the thing. We're going to know everything before, Gase is going to be fired before.
We hope.
He's either going to be fired or not before Lawrence has to make the decision, right? So that's going to happen before he makes a decision. And he's going to make the decision before the draft. So the Jets are going to know what they got. They're going to know if they keep Sam or if they go to Lawrence if he's number 1 pick. So that'll all play out. This means nothing.
You're right.
This means nothing. This means fire Gase because he's not coming to this.
I'm not reading this as fire Gase. I'm reading this as, I really like my surroundings in Clemson. Hold on. What are you getting out of that? I think he's looking at saying, I have a better team at Clemson than I do with the Jets.
What are you getting by saying it?
I think he's getting saying. I think he's getting leverage.
Go ahead, hold on, Carl. Go ahead.
Here's what I got to say. He didn't say that. Did you hear him say that out of his mouth yet?
What I was saying he did.
What?
He said he said he will look into it and most likely he'll be going into the NFL draft.
That's what he said. Yeah.
That's what he said. He didn't say nothing else. That's that media in New York and everybody else's paperwork everybody's reading because we've gone through this for the last year or so about this fake news and all that stuff. So let's not go there. Second of all, you nailed it. You got Tua that lasted 1 year and he did that. You also had the kid in the Chargers.
Sam Bradford did
the Chargers too. They said, "Are you going now?"
Herbert.
Go for 1 more year. And what happened? He got his ACL and he was done for the year. And he went a little later, but he still is good. He's good. He did good. It's the money. He will go and he will take care of himself and do whatever he has to do. Jets, Atlanta, Washington, it don't matter. And with Gase, if he's calling out Gase, if the Jets are that bad, which I think they are, I don't think they're going to win. Gase will be fired before the bye week. As soon as this is over this week, the bye week coming, Gase will be gone, and there goes all your speculations.
I'll tell you this much: the defense is starting to play a lot better now. So Greg Williams is kind of
warming up,
in line for the job. Yeah.
But last thing I'm going to say on this is, I think what he was saying is, I think he's using this. I think it's leverage here. That's what I'm saying is I think he's getting himself some leverage to kind of try something if he doesn't like if the Jets try to keep Gase.
He's not that type
Well,
of guy.
okay, he's not. Here's where I'll agree with you. If this is what you're saying, he doesn't want to close all the doors, wants to leave some doors open, but the door will open or close. Nothing he says now means anything. Means anything, because it's not like he's a free agent and teams are going to pass him up and go to nothing. Whoever's going to be the team that's going to have the first round pick is going to be the team. It's not like you could change anything, spend money, not spend money. You're either going to be the first. So him saying that doesn't change anything. It doesn't give him any leverage. It just gives him an out in case he wants to come back. What if they go to the championship and they lose by, they lose terribly or he gets hurt or something? Who knows?
If I was him, I would have thought of it at the beginning of the year, see what Tua went through. Tua was supposed to be the real number one pick, the best thing coming out of college, no end. And he played and he went all the way to the end and he did that and he went back a little bit and they're still taking a chance on him. We haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
Personally, Trevor, I had the option. I might not even play this year. I was like, you know what? I'm entering the draft.
Ding, ding, ding. You said it right.
He already played, though.
Lawrence.
He's already playing.
I wouldn't have played this year at all. If I was Trevor Lawrence, I would have taken COVID as an out.
Yep.
Right. But if I'm a team that's going to draft him, that affects me. That bothers me if he's gonna stay out. But he could have used COVID, you're right. But that's not how he is.
Right.
That's not how he is.
And he won't pull any kind of bullshit either.
But I will
say
say
that type of guy.
I'm just gonna say one thing in your defense. The kid that was the Georgia kid, Newman, the Georgia transfer, who was supposed to be the quarterback number 3 on the board, right now is falling on most boards from what I've heard to 6 to 8. He's off actually a couple teams' boards now because the guy from BYU and all these other guys who've been playing have just made themselves look a lot better. And all of a sudden, the kid Newman, the Wake Forest quarterback from last year, is falling off boards left and right where he might not even get drafted.
We won't know any of that. Any of that till the combine. That's where everything changed. Yeah, you don't know even at the end of the season. You don't know till the combine. That's when it all shapes out. You have no idea. Jordan Love wasn't on anybody's radar after how he played last year. Then all of a sudden he went to the combine and he went all the way up the list. So you have no idea who's going to be there. You do know Lawrence is on top. And here's one thing I'll say, and then we're going to go. The scenario where he comes back and plays next year is if he gets a major injury now.
Yeah, we don't want that.
He gets a major injury now where he's not even going to be ready for the draft, and he knows that he's not going to go number 1 in the draft. He might come back and try to play with Clemson, show that he's healthy, and then he'll be number 1. That's the scenario, I think, where he doesn't come.
You know what's funny?
He comes back.
I think he goes number 1 even with an injury. I think it's somebody would say, you know what? I think he's got too much potential where somebody would say, you know what? It's worth sitting out it's worth having him redshirt in the year, you know what I'm saying, at the pro level.
But he's got to make that decision, though. He's got to make that decision up front.
Yeah. Like,
you don't make that.
If I'm the Jets, I'd be texting him saying, if I was the Jets, let us play Darnold one more year. We're letting him go. You're the guy after Darnold leaves. 1 year.
Yeah. I like the Nets did with Durant this year. We'll see how that works out. But, yeah. All right. Awesome job, JP. Great job. Hopefully I can win some games this week. I've had 2 really bad weeks.
I just want to make this public. I'm sticking with this next week. We are going to be talking college basketball on this. This is going to be my big – because next week's supposed to be –
Your spot? No problem.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit of college basketball with the possibility of this. And this is going to be –
No, hold on. Next week. That's next week.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Basketball.
Right now. Awesome job. Carl, great job. Everybody, thanks for listening. So James McDonald wants our predictions on the election before we go.
All right. Actually,
quickly.
You have to worry about me.
Quickly.
Trump,
go ahead, JP.
Trump gets 316.
Carl?
Trump all the way.
I said the exact total too. 316.
These polls are bull. Absolute bull. Trump wins. And I will say this.
I have a sensitive side.
My friend James McDonald argued with me that there was no media bias last year when we were talking. Try to say that now. Try to say that now. But that's it for us.
I want to know what
for us.
that thing means, Mr. McDonald.
Dude, you can't read it all now. We're going now.
See you later.
I want to know what it meant by that.
2018 polls were not people that are afraid to say they're voting for Trump because they get bullied. Okay, 2018 polls don't mean anything.
Right.
You ask people who they're voting for, and when you say Trump, you scream at them. They're not going to say Trump. But that said, we'll see next week what happens. I'll either be real happy or real sad.
But we'll still be here.
Still be here. We will still be here. So long, everybody.
So long.